We will support you on your journey. So our next part of our PAC assembly is to look at students who really exude all of PAC. That means they do personal integrity, achievement, citizenship, kindness. They're the total package, doing all of it all the time. And what I can tell you is I get nominations from teachers. They think about all the kids in their grade level, and they think about what's happening, and they look to see who's reaching all of PAC, who's being that total package, who's being the leader of the PAC. And what I have to tell you, teachers, is looking at the submissions that I received, it was nearly impossible to pick one leader of the PAC. I know. Teachers are looking like, what? So, here's what ended up happening. Because what we want to do is celebrate and want to honor the hard work that's happening. Well, what ended up happening is there was actually a 4th grade student who stood out as leader of the PAC for 4th grade. And there was a 5th grade student who stood out for leader of the PAC for 5th grade. And so what's going to end up happening today for the first time in Coyote Hills history is that we're going to have 2 leaders of the PAC. One representing 4th grade, one representing 5th grade. I know, shocking. I know. But when I look and when you hear what teachers have said about these students, you can see what the dilemma was. How do you pick between awesomeness and awesomeness? I don't know. And so what we do is we have a 4th grade leader of the PAC, we have a 5th grade leader of the PAC. So let's find out what teachers have said about this student. Received this one evening, and it says, "Good evening, Mrs. Tolbert. I wanted to tell you a little bit about a student and why he or she was nominated for leader of the PAC. Personal integrity. This student exudes personal integrity. When he or she walks into the classroom, he or she sees his or her choices as an important part of who he or she is at Coyote Hills. As a child in his or her family as well. He or she understands that his or her decisions affect his or her choices and potentially the choices of others. Therefore, he or she makes them with great care and integrity, regardless of who is watching." Achievement. When this student approaches academics, he or she strives for perfection. He or she always completes his or her work with the goal of mastery. When it is time to learn, this student is 100% engaged in his or her job as a student. He or she absorbs the lesson and applies it so that he or she can grow as a learner. Citizenship. From an early age, this student has learned how to contribute to his or her community at school and to the surrounding neighborhood. His or her family has collected holiday presents for families in need in the Aurora area. This student and his or her siblings have been a part of this wonderful project for many years. They ask classes to bring in presents for children and then take the presents to the families before Christmas. He or she is a model for showing compassion and understanding to people whose life circumstances might require temporary support. In addition, this student is a conflict manager for each week at recess. He or she was chosen by his or her classmates for this position because he or she is warm, reliable, responsible, kind, and caring. It is an honor to be chosen for this job, and this student is the perfect person to help negotiate student conflicts as they arise. Kindness. One of the first qualities you will notice in this student is his or her warm, welcoming smile. He or she wears it daily and shares it with all that he or she encounters. He or she is, at his or her very core, a kind person. He or she offers respect to his or her peers and goes out of his or her way to be kind to all our classmates while being equally warm to his or her familiar family and friends. Leadership skills. Misha Collins said, "I actually think the most infectious way to make a difference is to lead by example. By doing random acts of kindness is setting a very good example of how to behave in the world." These words describe this student. He or she is a leader. Each day, each moment, he or she leads by example. When I move around the classroom, this student is always on task. He or she models the behaviors and work ethic. I hope each of my students will choose, or I hope each of my students, let me go back and reread, using those reading skills. He or she models the behaviors and work ethics I hope each of my students will choose. When a student needs some encouragement, the student is there to offer kind, supportive words. When local families have needs around Christmas, the student and his or her family rises to meet the need. The world needs more people like this student. It is with great joy that I recommend Hunter Shakrai